What is going on, everybody? Welcome to... Oh, hang on. We're going to fix something here. There we go. Welcome to Just Gonna Say It podcast. This is the Tuesday thing where we go through some stuff. I've got a notepad over here. I actually took some notes. For those of you that are only listening, I've got a whole legal pad here. Welcome to the Just Gonna Say It podcast. This is the thing where I'm, just kind of doing my thing and chatting about some stuff that I find important and exciting to talk about. And today we're going to give you, just to jump right into, what the subject is. And then I've got some things I want to tell you about before we jump in totally into it. But you saw this, the thumbnail. Hang on. Sip of coffee. We need to get this thing going right. Okay, so you saw the thumbnail, hot takes about gear from 2022, and these are going to be some things, and some of this stuff, actually, all of this stuff you've heard. If you listen to or watch my podcast or any of my live content or any of the stuff we talk about on this channel all the time, this is going to kind of be some repeat stuff. However, the reason I'm bringing some of it up is A, to talk about it with you, and B, get your thoughts on it, and B, to also, because also a lot of, I think, some of this stuff really has started to come true and really be, these are just my opinions. Let's just say that real quick. But I think a lot of this stuff is starting to kind of lean this direction for real, and in this last year or so, it's really started to get that way. So when we get to this list right here, you'll see what I mean. But I want to get your thoughts on it too. So just stick around for that for a couple of minutes. The other thing I want to talk about real quick before we get going is, and obviously we'll take some questions as we go through this thing. Put a bunch of question marks in front of your question if you have one. I'm doing it by myself, so I might miss it. Super chats do pop up on my screen in a little different color, so I won't miss those. And I'll drop what I'm doing and take those if you threw a super chat in there. One of the other things I want to mention too is in the description of this video, we're doing something really fun. I've never done this before. I thought, if we're going to do this like big boy style and actually do YouTube stuff properly, we're going to do a 2022 kind of best of gear sort of thing. Is there hall reverb on me? I can't hear it. There shouldn't be hall reverb on me. There should be no effects on this. Here, let's just check, because that would annoy me. Hang on one second. Now you guys got me all self-conscious. There shouldn't be any effects on this, though. Yeah, we shouldn't have any. What's with the reverb? There it is. Did it go away? Let me know if the reverb went away. What it is there's my microphone on top of my camera was on, and so it was taking it from two different channels. So that's one of the things I learned from the video. We'll get into that in a minute, but just let me know if it's gone. Okay, cool. Okay, good. Because basically what you were hearing was this microphone, and you're hearing the microphone from my camera, and they were both on probably about 40 milliseconds or something different. Yeah, it was just an open channel. Okay, cool. Okay. Where were we? Yes. So 2022, we're going to do a best of gear review deal. So basically, there is a link right below this in the description of this video. And you can go to that link. You can only vote once. You can vote once per email address, but you can vote once. And it's going to be the best kind of peripheral extra gear, strings, plugins, stuff like that. It's going to be the best pedal, the best amp, and the best guitar of 2022. And the way we compiled this list, I was trying to keep this as complete as possible. The choices are pretty wide. And you're going to go in there. Some people are going to go in there and they're going to be like, well, they released this thing this year and it's not in the list. Okay, so what I did was I went all through 2022, all of our gear news segments on this channel, and I basically took almost everything from all of that stuff. There was some really obscure things like, $15,000 guitars that normal people aren't going to buy. Some of that stuff I left out, but most of the mainstream gear that we can get. And there was like some special edition pedals that were only going to be 50 of them, stuff like that. I didn't include that stuff, but all of the stuff that you can go to, your local guitar store and get, I put on this list. And so you can go there and you can pick it out, and we're going to leave this go until probably, I'm thinking we're going to do the kind of the awards show, or like our version of that, the last week of the month, because I want to leave this survey up for long enough that people can go and participate in it, because I think it's going to be kind of fun. And obviously the best of is not my choice. The best of is your choice, everybody that watches the channel. And I know that this is just going to be the people that watch this channel. It's not everything in the world, but it's kind of cool. It's kind of fun to find out what we're all into. And so there's already some surprises. There's I don't know, 50 people or something have done it so far. So it's kind of getting fun to see some trends start to happen. So I'm really excited about that. Okay. So let's chat some, trying to think if there's anything else I want to tell you about before that. I guess not. Okay. Let's get into this. All right. So these kind of, I call them hot takes. First of all, I need to say, I posted what were your hot takes about gear in 2022, and it seemed to give a lot of people license to just be mean to each other in the comments. It was just really hot take, like relic guitars are like buying a poopy diaper, and then a bunch of people would fight about it. It's like hot take, you're not a real guitar player if you don't play in a band. I'm like, really? Like, that's not what we're talking about here. It wasn't really for people to be mean to each other. It was for people to express opinions about some gear. Some of the things that came up from you all were things like that there's a bunch of crappy gear. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird, because it's kind of opposite of what I think. So, but we'll talk about it. And obviously nobody's wrong. This is just all kind of fun. This is just kind of fun stuff. Let's see. I didn't really put these in order, and I probably should have done them in order. Actually, we're going to make this one 5. We're going to make this one 4. We're going to make this one 3. We're going to make this one 2, and we're going to make this one 1. Okay, cool. That way, so there's 5 of them. I'm going to say this is my kind of observation from 2022, and it's just because of the way just kind of the way the market's going right now. I personally believe, unless you want one of my guitars that I've got for sale used, I personally believe that it's better to buy a new guitar right now. If you're looking for a particular model. Now, if you are a person who is trying to save money and you're like, well, I'm going to buy a 20-year-old guitar off of Craigslist for $100 from a guy in the back of a truck, that's a different story. And I know that there are folks that love the deal, or need to have the deal because, they can't go to Sweetwater and buy a new guitar. I get that. We all are in different circumstances. But if you are, let's say you're going to go ahead and go buy a used Les Paul. You're going to go ahead and go buy a 2-year-old Mexican Strat, or even a Ultra 2, or any of the guitars that are kind of on the market right now, that are, let's say, between $800 and $3,000. You're not going to see, in my opinion, and honestly, this comes from setting the prices for the guitars that I have for sale right now. I've been looking at this a lot. You're not going to see a huge savings. It might be a couple $100. It might be, for example, on a Silver Sky, they're $2,700 new. They're going for $2,400, $2,500 all day long. on Reverb right now. So you're only saving a couple $100. If you need to save that money, I get it. I do get it. Or if you don't want to spend the extra couple $100 for that particular guitar, I get that too. But I think for most people, especially if you're buying a gift, especially if you want this particular model, just spend the extra couple $100, save an extra couple months, and buy it new, and buy the guitar new. I think the prices are kind of weird right now, and I think the used market is so strong, and the only way to fix it is to not support it, right? Like, I mean, just go buy a new guitar. Support your local retailer. Buy from Sweetwater if you want, like, do whatever you want, but buy new guitars, in my opinion. Yeah. So let's see. I haven't gotten brave enough to purchase from Sweetwater. Dude, I get that. That's kind of one of the things that I think about. Because I don't want crappy stuff. Sponsored by established titles. I don't even know what that is. Somebody brought that up. Somebody was trying to give me crap about having affiliate links in my content, I mean, these videos don't make themselves. Like, we have to support them somehow. And honestly, the YouTube channel is in the red constantly because we don't really make money with it. But, in and of itself, and the affiliate stuff helps out with that and super chats and all that. So I do appreciate it all. Somebody was giving me a hard time about having affiliate links and saying that we have them. And somebody brought up that whole sponsored by established titles thing. And I don't know what it is. I know that there's a scam surrounding it. I didn't look into it. I just Googled it real quick. I don't know what that is. But anyway, let's see. If you're selling my sales engineer from Sweetwater says they're not taking a cut, trying to undercut Reverb. Yeah, see, so I think people are kind of getting the idea that if you're strategic with your used stuff, you're going to get almost new for it. So from my perspective, why buy used? Honestly, I'm kind of there with cars too. I'm doing some car shopping right now. And holy crap, man. It's stupid. Like, for example, a 2-3-year-old WRX is almost as expensive as a brand new one. And you're like, why would you do that? Guitars are kind of been in the same ball of wax. It's kind of interesting. For those that don't want sponsored videos or affiliate links, go start your own YouTube channel and see how far you won't get. Dude, that's totally true. And actually, if you don't like ads on your YouTube channels, subscribe to Premium. Don't be a wimp. It's $15 a month. I honestly, I've been on YouTube for almost 10 years now, and I've never subscribed to Premium. And I live in Georgia, and let's just say that the political season has been lengthened and through today, actually. And I was getting so tired of ads because of that. And I actually finally bought Premium, and I will tell you what, it is amazing. I can watch whatever videos I want, whenever I want. It saves time because, you're getting a 10-minute video with a whole bunch of stuff added onto it with ads and stuff. It turns into 13 minutes, right? I mean, you're just saving time. It's awesome. I love YouTube Premium. And for those of you that don't know, YouTube Premium actually pays the creators better because what they do is they split the revenue from YouTube Premium between the creators that you watch. So let's say I make, a thousandth of a penny or whatever on a YouTube view. I would make more than that on it if you were subscribed to Premium. So I'm just telling you, it benefits me too. And you don't have any ads. So it really helps out the channels that you really like. Then I must have a family plan. I know how you feel. A used Turbo S or a GT3 is twice what a new one goes for. Dude, it's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. And then I went to the Honda dealership the other day. I was like, maybe I'll just get a Civic Si because I wanted a Civic Si before. $5,000 markup. I'm not doing it. I'm not paying a dealer markup just because somebody thinks they should get more. I'm not doing it. Fortunately, guitar stuff, we don't have to worry about that because MAP pricing in the United States anyway keeps us kind of within range there. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty awesome. Okay, that's number one. I really feel like it's really, you could go either way on it, obviously. And let's just say that it also depends where you are budget-wise. It depends what guitar you're buying. But if you are buying a premium instrument right now, if you're buying a premium professional grade instrument like probably anything American made, to tell you the truth, I would say anything above $1,000. Look at the new versus used split, because the delta between those two prices is going to be a lot closer than you think. I think it's really, really interesting. Okay, number two, and I say this all the time, but it came up in this whole hot takes thing. Somebody was saying there's a bunch of crappy gear out there. There is no bad gear in 2022. Now, in 2020, we had some pretty bad gear. We had some stuff that was terrible. And and let's just say, I'm not talking about a quality control issue with a guitar that you got. I bought a pedal from this guy and the switch went out. I bought a guitar, I bought a Gibson and blah, 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 and I had to send it back. I'm not talking about bad gear. I'm not talking about like a quality control issue with that piece. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about there is almost no wastes of time. Like if you go and look at all of the amps, all of the pedals, all of the apps, most of the apps really, I would say maybe you could make an argument for a bad app here or there, because there's so many of them and the level of entry is a lot lower. But there really is no bad gear. Where we get a little fuzzy on this is people will say, yeah, well, this piece of gear sucks. I don't like this amp. The Line 6 Spider, that didn't come out in 2022, but that amp's not for you. It's for somebody, and it's a great piece of gear for that somebody. Understanding who the thing was marketed to, understanding who should be buying it. I'm not interested in Marshall Code 50, for example. That doesn't make it bad. I wouldn't use it, and it does not suit my needs. That doesn't make it bad. Because you don't like a piece of gear or because you don't own a piece of gear doesn't make it bad. Period. Because you think a piece of gear is a waste of money doesn't make it bad. Because the reason you think it's a waste of money is because that piece of gear is not for you. That's all there is to it. And I think that's a real important thing to think about, especially when, and the reason I'm so passionate about this is because when we talk about encouraging other people to play guitar, encourage people to continue in this hobby, even if you've been playing instruments for a really long time. And I'm talking to you. If you've been playing guitar for a long time, there are a lot of guitar players that have a tendency to, this piece of gear sucks. I would never buy that. This is blah, blah, blah to somebody else. Yeah, but you're not that other guy or gal. You're not that other person. You're not that. You don't know what they need. You don't know what they want. And if you think you do, just shut up about it. Let them have their own opinion. That's all there is to it. There's no point in going into a Facebook group and being like, this thing sucks. I see it all the time. On all of our like yesterday, it was like, that's a cool guitar, but that color is ugly. Well, what kind of contribution are you making to the community? If you don't like the color, say it's a cool guitar. I would love a blue one. Same thing, but different, right? I mean, I tried the Duke of Tone, and I ended up going with such and such a pedal instead of the Duke of Tone sucks. So, the reason I'm so passionate about this is because it's just not productive to the community. It just isn't. I mean, I don't know why you're giving other guitar players a hard time. Drives me freaking insane, actually. Anybody who thinks there is crappy gear today wasn't buying gear back in the 80s. Dude, no lie. I can remember my first acoustic guitar in, I don't know, 1981, something like that. And that thing was a pile. And we owned a music store. But that's just what there was. Beginner gear was garbage. And we're going to get into that because point number 5 on here, I'm telling you, is going to be a mic drop situation that you're going to want to stick around for. We've gone through 2 of them now. All right, let's go to number 3. I don't know if you'll agree with me on this or not. This is just my opinion, but I've bought a lot of guitars this year. We bought, I think, 12 guitars this year. And, pretty much one a month. We bought a lot of Fenders. We bought a lot of Squiers. We bought a couple Gibsons. We bought a couple PRSs. What else? We bought a Schecter. We bought that Kramer. I'm going to say right now, my opinion, this is just an opinion, obviously, but Fender and Gibson have swapped places on the quality situation. Every Gibson guitar that I've played is pretty friggin' phenomenal. There are handmade aspects to a Gibson Les Paul, for example, that have a little bit of variance in them. But those handmade aspects, when you look at it, you're going, okay, somebody did this by hand. It makes sense. It looks like that. So it does not look like a PRS, but that's on purpose. Okay. So I get that. But for the most part, Fender and Squier are garbage compared to Gibson right now. And they need to step it up. They need to step it up. Dylan, you may have to realize that a lot of guitar players are adolescents. That's actually adolescent with an S. Adolescence is a state. And have not matured yet to the state where there are other opinions other than their own. Well, obviously. But it doesn't matter. Here's the thing. You let them have their own opinion. If they want to play a pink guitar or a purple guitar or a Chinese guitar or even a Harley Benton, I don't care. Or they want to play pop music on it, or they want to beat on it with tin cans and mallets, or they want to, whatever they want to do, let them do it. They're being creative. You saying that Led Zeppelin is awesome and all music sucks is not being creative. Letting kids be creative, and even if they're taking that influence from somewhere else that you don't like, let them be creative. Let them be who they are. Jeff Sims, garbage. Yeah, dude. I could show you. Well, I have showed you in every video this year. They've been good. There's been good ones. We have had good ones. But the stuff has been bad in comparison to what it was 3 years ago. I am not impressed. I am not impressed. I think there might be a reason for it, though. I think, and this is probably a hotter take than what I just said to you, I think it might be on purpose. We'll get to that in a few minutes. I think it might be on purpose. I don't know what else to say. How much of the problem is price? Every brand has their studs and duds. I think the issue is price to dud percentage ratio. Yeah, we're going to get into that in a minute because I got a whole nother other thing here that we're going to talk about. I agree with you. Do you see Yamaha making a bigger push into the electric market? I mean, they already are, dude. They are huge. Yamaha is a much larger company than you realize. And one of the things is too, depends who's running the QA department. I don't agree with you. It's management down. It's management down. It's from the top down. Companies should be, and if they're not, they're doing it wrong. Should be from the top down. 100%. And if they are managing it into a numbers situation where they're saying this many units we need to get out today, that has an effect on the QA department, whoever's running the QA department, because now his ass is against the wall, and now, you know what I mean? So I think it's top-down situation. I think the Gibson Fender battle is good for industry. The industry, someone's got I don't know what that means, but when I think Yamaha, I usually think motorcycles, but that's just me. Well, here's the thing. Yamaha was making instruments long before they were making motorcycles. They put the tuning fork on the motorcycle. They didn't put the tuning fork on the piano. They didn't put an engine on a piano. They put a tuning fork on a motorcycle. That's what I meant to say. Yeah, they make all kinds of stuff, man. They're humongous. I always thought the QA, Gibson QA stuff is overblown. 100%. It's 100% overblown. We did an experiment with that a few months, a year ago or 2 years ago or something. I made up an email address and I was like, send me actual quality control problems that you have with your guitars. All brands. I want to see them. And with photos. And first of all, people couldn't read directions because they would just be like, I had a guitar or I heard about a guitar. No, I want to know if it happened to you, email me a picture so we can see it for real. And I probably got, in 2 weeks in that email, I probably got 6. And then from that, none of them were real issues. None of them. Somebody sent me a PRS with the milky finish thing, but the guitar was like 8 years old. Like, I think the quantity or the rules for that was the guitar had to be less than 2 years old. You had to buy it from a dealer. You had to have the issue yourself and like buy it new. You could not have bought the guitar used. You had to buy it new. It had to be less than 2 years old. And you had to have the issue that was photographable evidence that you could send us. And nobody did it because everybody knows they're just complaining on the internet and making a big deal out of nothing. And I'm not saying it's nothing. I'm saying there is a guitar every once in a while that's bad. I get them, so I know other people get them. Everybody always asks me too, like, hey, does Sweetwater know that they're sending you the guitar so they're going to make it better? Well, I think you've pretty much seen this year with all the guitars that we've gotten and some problems that we've had, stuff that's had to go back, stuff I've had to fix, that we don't get any kind of special treatment. And for those of you that don't know how this works, I do have a guy at Sweetwater where I'm like, hey man, I want to do a video. Can you send me some stuff? You know, this is what I want. Can you send me a pedal? And it'll be a sponsored video by Sweetwater, blah, 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 that sort of thing. There's that guy. And then there's my Sweetwater sales rep like you have. Like when I call and be like, hey, I want to buy a guitar. They don't talk to each other. I'll give you an example. I ordered a PRS Silver Sky SE from my normal sales rep guy. And then I thought, oh, let me see if they'll actually give me one. So I called my, give me one for free guy. And he's like, yeah, do you have one on order? And I'm like, yeah, I do. And so I had to they didn't even talk to each other. I had to call my sales rep guy, cancel that order, and then make sure. So they don't even talk to each other. And Sweetwater has given me one. They gave me a Schecter once, and they gave me the PRS once. They give me 2 guitars. All the other guitars that you've seen, I've just ordered from my sales rep and paid money for them. We do that kind of, kind of because we have to, and because I think it kind of keeps it honest. But that being said, this Fender Gibson thing, I think it has switched. I really do. I think it's really switched. Let's see. The problem happened at Fender when they laid off so much of their staff. If you follow, okay, so we did a whole video on this. I'm actually the one that broke the story on this to the entire internet. I don't know if you remember that. I'll just take the credit for that one. And I know the inside story to that deal even more than I put on the internet that day. But I will say what really happened there is there were 2 major retailers in the United States who canceled their orders for Squiers. This is really what happened. And Fender has a deal with their bank where they could only have so much inventory per how much payroll they had. And so because they got stuck with those huge orders, they had so much inventory in Squiers that they had to lay people off so their bank wouldn't get pissed. That's basically what happened. And so now they're reeling from it, and this is why we're having sales on Squiers right now. Thank you for the super chat, Mr. Justin Quotation. I like that name. Have you heard of Chris Buck? He's an amazing guitarist for a band called Cardinal Black. Have you heard of Sire Guitars? I've heard of Sire Guitars. I'm not a... thank you for the super chat, by the way. Yes, I have heard of Sire Guitars. I have no opinion on them because they don't interest me, I guess is what I'll say. And I've not heard of Chris Buck. Maybe I have, but I could tell. Let me say this. I think I've heard that name, but it would be dishonest of me to be like, oh yeah, I've heard of him, because I don't know that I could connect him to anything. I feel like I've heard the name, but I don't know for sure. What years should you avoid for Gibson? 2015, 2016. A lot of people say those kind of suck because they had those weird models with the brass nuts and the kind of stuff. But what I will say about those models is you could get them real cheap and take them to a tech and fix all the problems for $100. So, yeah. Doesn't the dude from Smashing Pumpkins also play a Revstar? I'm pretty sure. Somebody was like, I wish somebody would play this thing long enough in a video so that I could tell if it was good or not. And I'm like, listen to any Smashing Pumpkins tour video right now. Because what's his name? The Asian dude. I can't remember what his name is. Jeff something. Anyways, he plays a Revstar. Yeah, cool. I've heard some folks comment that Squier guitars coming from Indonesia this year are not as good as those that came from China in previous years. I would say, I've had one. So we've bought like 6 of them this year. And the one I have right now is Chinese, and it's pretty good. But the biggest thing with these Fenders is the necks. If the frets are good, they're fine. And I wouldn't tell you to shy away from buying one. You're just going to have to take it and have some work done to it. You're just going to call your tech and have them do $100 worth of work to the thing to make it really good. The $600 Squiers, the 40th anniversary ones, are better than the ones that are normal because they came with bound necks, the gold ones, they came with bound necks. So, they're actually, I don't know what y'all are saying about Echo because That other channel is muted, so there should be no problem with it at this time. I mean, if there is, there is, but let's see. Okay, so that is point number 3. All right, let's go to point number 4. I believe, here is my number 4 hot take out of 5. How are we doing on time? Pretty good. I believe that the demise of the conventional amplifier has already and is in the process of happening. I think from now on, the conventional tube amplifier will be less common in the real world as a new purchase than any other kind of amplifier. So I don't think that's necessarily an opinion. I think we are seeing it. Like I said, this is one of these things that 2022 just kind of bared out itself. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't really have to make this up. I think I'll never leave my tube amp. I get that. But probably you'll never buy a brand new one again. And I know that there are individuals. I understand. I get it too. I would like to have a Plexi, a Marshall Plexi. I really would. I would like to have, man, I had a Vibroverb before and I wish I would have never sold that amp. I love that amp. However, in real life, I need an unconventional tube amp. And what I mean by that is, so for example, we have the Black Star St. James right here. It's a 50 watt 6L6 tube amp, but it's got all of the other stuff in it. It's got the IRs in it. It's got the power scaling in it. It's got the USB out stuff. You can record with it. It's got all the other things. That to me is not a conventional tube amp. Not a conventional tube amp in the respect that you have to turn the thing up to 7 for it to break up and that you're going to blow your neighbors out. A conventional old school tube amp. I believe that those things are kind of just over. For 2 reasons. One, the manufacturing costs of a tube amp have skyrocketed in the last couple of years. And it's not just cheap tube. It's not tube shortage and all that stuff. That's part of it, I suppose, but that's not it really. The lumber, the transformers, the copper that goes into it, all of the rare earth metals that go into, and the environmental impact of how dirty it is to make tubes, because it's actually pretty terrible. All of those things, you put all that stuff together, and then power consumption. I bang on about this, and people don't believe me, but my folks, those of you that follow me in Europe, know that power consumption is a thing. That you need to worry about how much power consumption you're using with your various appliances around your home. And you also know that if you have a Quad Cortex or a Kemper or a Tone Master, you'll be able to play earlier in the evening than later because of scaling of cost, and for longer hours in the month because of scaling of cost. You already know that this is affecting you. And I think it's gonna happen more and more and more. And I know that people in America don't understand that. But what they also don't understand is the United States is not the biggest market for Fender. So, for example, and for Black Star, and for, the world's a big place. So the percentage of the market we think is all here because this is where rock and roll came from, but it's not really true. So because of all of these factors, the tube amp is it's always going to be awesome. Okay. I'm not a tube amp hater. It's always going to be amazing. And we're always going to love standing in front of a 412 or 2 412s with a Plexi on top and just dime all the knobs. It's going to be amazing. But the amount of people that will be able to do that in practical settings, whether that's you have a gig that the stage can't be loud or is direct only. There's a lot of venues that are going direct only. or you live in an apartment like I do where I can't, play loud, or any number of reasons, the practicality is going to bring you to one of these other non-conventional amplifiers, one of these non-conventional tube amplifiers. And I think, or even if it still has tubes in it, like the 6L6 St. James or the EL34 St. James, but I think that's going to be the direction that we are already going. Doesn't rev. Somebody mentioned rev in the comments. And to you people that say you can't get the same response, you need to spend some time with this stuff, and you need to you got to disconnect from the religion. I'm just gonna say it. You got to play the music and disconnect from the gear religion, because for every person that says it doesn't feel like a tube, there are hundreds of people that are playing music that sounds fantastic everywhere and making money and doing it professionally. These are not kid toys anymore. And I tried a pod in 1993 is not a valid answer. Trying a Kemper 4 years ago is not a valid answer. That Tone Master Princeton right there is worlds ahead of any clean Fender sound that I've ever got out of a Kemper. And it just came out this year. So, and the cool part is your tube amp gets worse as it gets older. This digital stuff, as they continue to download patches and make upgrades, you could have the same piece of hardware for 10 years, like a Kemper, for example, and the thing just keeps getting better because profiles keep getting better. The software keeps getting better. Everything keeps getting better. Meanwhile, you're having to replace tubes and you're having to, recap your stuff. So, I just really feel like a lot of these things have just become this religious fervor for a particular thing. And I get it. I totally get it, because I love the stuff. I absolutely love the stuff. But you have to separate what you will have on your wall to worship versus on your wall to actually play for real in real life. Those are going to become two different things. There's going to be no way around it, because either your neighbors are going to hate you, or the venue is going to hate you, or your electric bill is going to hate you, or there's going to be some reason in the next few years, and I think it's already here, where people are just going to be like, you know what? I love my tube amp, but I need one of these other things for real life. And a couple of times, it's going to just be like a classic car. It's going to be exactly like a classic car. You're going to take it out when it's not raining. You're going to take it out when your family's not home. You're going to take it out when your neighbors, you look out there, oh, they're mowing the lawn. They're not going to hear me right now. It's going to be special days, and you're going to play your tube amp wide open, and it's going to be amazing. And we're all going to have one. I want some more again. We're all going to have them for those sunny days. But daily drivers, they're all going to be stuff like this. It's just the way it's going to be. And I know you don't agree with me. A lot of people don't agree with me, but there are caps in the SS amps too. Well, these amps aren't solid state, so I need to do a video about that. There's a lot of false information about what makes an amp go. There are tons of songs on Spotify that were recorded on an amp modeler that hardcore tube guys would never know aren't done on an old school amp. No way, dude. That's totally true. That is totally true. Yeah. And I mean, again, it's the classic car thing. I get the desire for it because I want it. I mean, I know we all want it, but there's going to be a separation between the practicality and the, and the reality of what real life is. And that sunny day, when your kids aren't home and when your wife's not home and when your neighbors aren't mowing the lawn, or, when the cops are busy doing something else, so they can't come over to your house and shut you down. All right. Point number 5. And this is going to, you're not going to agree with me on this. But I've always felt this way. And it's going to step back to a few things that we discussed earlier. For me, tube amps are for my enjoyment. I 100% agree. All this stuff, like the stuff that we cling to, right? I want a vintage spec Strat, nitrocellulose finish, probably my pickups in it. Old school Princeton, like a real tube one. I want all that stuff. But it's because I think it's cool. Not because it's better, not because it's going to make me sound different, not because, honestly, not because anybody around me cares. I don't buy gear to show off for other people. Like, I think that's stupid. That's just my personal personality. I don't care if you like what I don't care if you like what I like. I don't. But it is for me. Like, I 100% get that sentiment. I think that's really, really cool. I think that's really cool. All right. Okay. Here we go. I think that a $2,000 guitar in 2022, I think this cheap guitar is just as good as this expensive guitar is dead. A $2,000, $2,500, $2,800, because that's what regular priced American professional tier guitars cost these days. Let's just get it out of the way. A good guitar is $2,000. Like a good American, I mean, you know what I mean? Like I don't know. So, not even a signature one. So I don't know. Well, all those guitars up there. A good Telecaster is $2,000. A good Gibson is $2,500, $2,700. A good PRS is $2,000. They are better than your $300 to $500 Squire, Chinese import version of said. I could buy a Harley Benton, I could buy a Sire, I could buy a Squire, I could buy all the other guitars that look exactly the same for $300 to $500, and it's just as no, it's not. Not in 2022, it's not. They're great. They are great. You can get a $300 to $500 guitar. We just did it yesterday. Yamaha Revstar. That thing is phenomenal. It's $500 and it's really good. It ain't as good as the Les Paul. It ain't as good as an SG. It ain't as good as the Guild that looks like an SG. It's not as good as any of those guitars. It is a fantastic $500 guitar, but it is not as good as any of those other guitars. Buy the best guitar that you can buy in your budget, and then learn how to play that guitar. Don't worry about how much somebody else's guitar costs. Don't worry about, is it good for the money? Buy the best guitar that you can afford. But stay out of the Facebook groups saying that your $300 to $500 guitar is just as good as one that costs $2,500, because it ain't. Now, there's some reasons for this. This is not, I mean, I know I'm saying it like all snotty sounding, but that's just for theatrical effect. I think there's real things that we can look at here and talk about it in the comments in a constructive way. That speak to this. Okay. Somebody was talking earlier about, wait, we have to have a budget. I know, right? I just buy the thing and then forget that I have to have a budget. Like, oh crap, I guess I'm not buying anything for a couple of months. Did you see the Adam Jones model that was released today? Yeah, we're going to talk about that in the news tomorrow. You should do a review on the Yamaha THR modeling amp series. I think I might buy one of those because I That's like the only one I don't have. I have all these other little practice amps. I don't have that one. I should get that one. Do those Tone Masters take pedals well? I'm kind of interested. Dude, buy that Princeton Tone Master. It's so freaking good. It's so good. I've only used my Black Star once since I got it. The only reason I will use this is how cool it is. The Tone Master is like the Princeton in general is like 12 watts, right? So if you're putting something really hot into it, like a P90, like the Gibson SG with a P90 in it, the Schecter, that pink guitar, the MGK guitar up there, that pickup's pretty hot. Let's see. Even that Kramer back there, we've got a Center Punch 8 in that Kramer. I sold that Kramer, by the way. We do have some guitars for sale still. You go to Dylan Talks Tone. There's a thing on the website there. We have 4 more guitars for sale. Something higher output. It's really hard to get a clean sound out of the Princeton because that's the way a Princeton is, because it's only 12 watts, right? So you end up sending it into compression very quickly, and it acts really real like that. Like it feels right. So if you have a really high output guitar, then we walk over here to the Black Star with the 50 watts and put it on the clean channel, and it's really nice and clean for a very long time. And you have a lot of headroom to play around with stuff. And like, if you want to do a clean, so takes pedals well. Okay. So let's talk about that. Any amp, pretty much, if it's done properly, 50 watt amp will take a pedal and you can run it into a clean amp and do most of the work with the pedal. If you have a 12 watt amp or a 15 watt amp or even a 20, like a 6v6 or a 6v6 amp, and you play it pretty loud, that thing will break up pretty easy. And then you will be putting a pedal into a slightly broken up amp. So it just depends how you want to do it. Takes pedals well is kind of a misnomer, because do you mean that you want it to be totally clean and then you just use just the pedal? Then no, get a 50 watt amp. Get this thing. Get the Black Star. If you are cool with having it kind of broken up when you play a P90 and throwing a tube screamer on it and really pushing the thing, then use a lower wattage amp. It just kind of depends. I should do a video about that now that I have them both, because that's a key thing in understanding power staging and does it take a pedal well. You know what I mean? That's a phrase that I think is overused when we really start to understand, but I understand why you're asking it. It just depends. Do you want to go into a clean amp or do you want to go into a slightly dirty amp? Have you ever checked out the monoprice tube amps from Amazon? No, see, I don't even go there. I don't care about it. If you might be new to the channel, so you might not know, but I don't really, all of these Chinese knockoff copy things, I don't care. I don't care. I think they cheapen the hobby. Unless, I just said a couple of minutes ago, buy the best gear that you can buy. So if a monoprice amp is the best gear that you can buy, then buy it. If price is important to you, if you are someone who is, I want 7 of these things and they're cheap and I'm cheap and I find the best bargain on the cheapest toilet paper, even though it's single ply and my finger blows through, then I can understand why you would want a monoprice. I'm not. I'm a 2-ply guy and I want it to feel nice. You know what I mean? So it just kind of depends. And I don't look at anybody any different. It's all a personal choice, but I personally am not interested in the copy stuff. Not at all. I'm about to do a video next week on one of those copy guitars. It's one of those vintage things, and the thing's a pile of crap, but we're going to make it really awesome. And the only reason I'm doing it is because it's a friend of mine, and it's a very specific build that we're doing. Here, I'll give you a clue as to what this build is right here. We have a Telecaster 6-saddle bridge with the low E missing, and it's gold. I bet you can guess what the buildup is going to be. It's going to be pretty cool. I'll spend more on the guitar, and I'm definitely a 2-ply guy. And I fold it. You know what I mean, though. There's a mentality out there where folks are really concerned about price. And it's not about necessity. I do this stuff for fun. And if I can't afford it, I don't do it. I mean, I really want a Les Paul right now. I want a gold top. Leslie thinks I should get the Slash November Burst, which is probably what I'm going to end up getting. Could I afford to do it right now? Yeah, probably. But I'm kind of just putting it off because I don't really want to spend the money on it right now. Now, I could go get any number of Gibson knockoffy things for a third of the price and get in a Facebook group and be like, this is just as good as the guitar I was going to buy. And now I'm going to put $600 worth of stuff in it, and it's not going to be as good, but I'm going to say it is. I'm just not that guy. I'm going to wait until I can get the guitar I want. You know? I should get better amps, but I keep using my money up on guitars. Dude, that's for real, right? Gold top P90s is my dream guitar. Yeah, I think the November Burst is dope. Dude, it's so sick, right? And it's got those El Nico 2 pickups in it. And I'm really interested in that because I'll tell you a little secret. I'm kind of thinking about coming out with some El Nico 2 humbuckers. So, yeah. So that is going to be my justification for buying that guitar, actually. I'm pretty sure. We'll see what happens. Let's see. Who wouldn't shake somebody's hand? That's kind of lame. I'm a 2-ply. Oh, I know what you're talking about now. That's a great. That's funny. That's funny. Yeah. So the Slash original was a copy. Yeah. Have you ever considered making a drop-in 500K pots for LPs 50s wiring? Rusty, I would consider it. However, it's being done right now by Jersey Shore Guitar Garage, and Jimmy is a friend of mine, and his stuff is really good, and I don't like making those. They're just kind of a pain. For me, I'm not set up. I don't have all the jigs and everything to make them. He has all these jigs. He actually sends them to you on a little piece of cardboard with the holes in it. It looks like the top of a Les Paul. It's got the directions and soldering. It's really cool. I really, really, really like his stuff. That's kind of why, somebody asked Dylan about Harley Benton and mono price. I'm not afraid to talk about it. We got a super chat. Sending loaded pickguards out soon. I believe we're sending those out the end of next week. We've got all of the single coils are sitting right there wound for those. And we are working our way through like 28 humbuckers right now. So what we're doing is we're batching everything. So we got like 28 orders on Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So what we're doing is we did all the P90 stuff. We did all the Tele stuff. We just wound all of the Strat stuff. So there's like 15 of them, 20 sitting there. And we did like 8 humbuckers yesterday. And now I got to do, I don't know, like 15 more tomorrow and the rest of the week. So what will happen is we will wind up all of these humbuckers. We'll send out all of the humbucker orders, but then those will also be the humbuckers for the single hum pick guards. And then we will assemble and ship those next week. That's what I'm hoping is the plan. It's pretty berserk, actually. So so Bryson's been helping me every night. He'll be over here later to press some more bobbins together, and yeah, we're cranking on them. So yeah. What's your take on an ERT? That just falls into that category for me. Here's where I'm going to spend most of my time. This is what I'm going to tell you. All those guitars, and this is why number 5 on the hot takes for 2022 is $2,000 guitars are better than $300 guitars. They are. The materials are better. The fret materials are better. The pickups are better. They're all better. Everything is better. Are the $300 to $500 guitars of value? Yes. They have a value for the folks that need them. And they're also of value in the respect that you should be looking at that. Like, I got my first guitar. I got my second guitar. I'm super stoked. I've got a fake Les Paul. It's awesome. Now I want a real one, or now I want an ESP, or now I want you know what I mean? This is all a journey for everybody. And I think people take these kind of gear decisions as like some kind of, again, it's like a religious thing where it's like, this is me for the rest of my life, and this is who I represent, and this is my outworking of my personality, and without this, and I will die on this hill. You know what I mean? Like, and people talk about it like that, and I don't think that's fair to the folks that want to dream. You know, just let them dream. Let's see. Somebody asked me really quick. Hang on. Are you willing to keep the RevStar? Actually, somebody already bought that for me. I pre-sold that. Yeah, I know Fat Philosopher is a big fan of the ESP. If you ever want to talk about ESPs, Fat Philosopher in the comments, he's super stoked on those ESPs. He really likes them a lot. Yeah, so I think it's a thing. I think let the guitar. So one of the, we get kind of off topic and now we're a little bit over time, but one of the things I would consider Alnico 3 single coils. One of the things I think is, we talked about the falling off quality, and I said that maybe Strats, like $500 Strats and Tellys, are bad quality on purpose. I almost wonder, and I know it's not on purpose, but because cheap guitars have gotten better, are we trying to differentiate in quality between them more? Like, is that what's happening? I don't know. It's a hypothesis that I have. Not that they would make a crappy guitar on purpose, because the guitar should be good, but there is more of a difference in 2022 between a $500 guitar and a $2,000 guitar than there even was 2-3 years ago. Lower price guitars are a great way to have different styles of guitars, different scale length. Exactly. So, but that means that they're aspirational. They're not the end of the line. You know what I mean? Which I think is really cool. All right. It is 5:04. Usually we go for an hour on these things, and this has been really fun. We got 5 of these things in here. It's better to buy a new guitar than a used guitar. There's no bad gear in 2022. Fender and Gibson have switched in their quality control problems, I believe. The demise of the conventional amp has already and will continue to happen. And the 5th one, $2,000 guitars are better than $300 guitars. Those are my hot takes for 2022. If you were here late and you missed the conversation, please go back and listen to it after the thing is over. Do me a favor and go in the links of this below and go take the survey. Tell me what your favorite gear of that list was for 2022. I took them from all of the new gear newses that we did in 2022, compiled a big list of extra stuff like strings and plugins and little accessories like that. I left out wedding rings and fancy sweaters from Gibson, just to let you know. Also, the best pedals of 2022, the best guitar amps of 2022, and the best gear of 2022. Best guitar of 2022. We did not have any bass gear. This was totally 6-string stuff. Please do me a favor, go down there, be a part of that, because it's going to be a really fun video to see what you all think is the best gear of 2022. I'm really excited about it. I've never done anything like this before, so it's kind of fun to think about the possibilities of this video. And I'll probably give you my opinion of what I think what my favorite stuff was. But I've been looking at the results coming in so far, and we're probably pretty much on the same page for most of the stuff. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you in the gear news tomorrow at noon.